In 2009, before there was a blood moon or an eclipse in the sky, I settled into bed without any suggestion that a divine invitation would ensure that I would not wake up the same person as I was when I went to sleep. I awakened in my dream, standing in a marketplace in Jerusalem. What was I doing here? I've never wanted to go to Israel. I felt so out of place. As I looked around to find anything that felt familiar, I saw a figure in the distance. My soul wanted to run after him. It was Jesus. I found myself walking quickly and with slight skips in my steps. I plotted a clandestine scheme to discover where he was going. I followed him through cobblestone streets, getting closer and closer. I sensed that he knew I was following him. He didn't seem annoyed, like my older brother was when I was a child. He looked back at me, and I sensed he was amused with my stalking. Although I could feel his permission, I continued following slightly behind him. Suddenly he stopped in a doorway and opened the door. He turned and invited me inside without saying a word. I looked into the room and was shocked to see Mary standing by a wooden table with a candle on it. There was another young girl there that was helping to set the table. I knew immediately that she was his sister. I never knew that Jesus had a sister. Did you know Jesus had brothers and sisters? The table was set with bread and wine and dishes. I sensed that much more food was in the kitchen and would be placed on the table. He was inviting me to dinner with his mom and his sister. The honor of it all was overwhelming. I protested that I was not a Jew. Should he be doing this? Was it allowed? I studied his face to gain confidence. Then he smiled, like only he can, and all my objections washed away. Slowly, a profound knowledge that I was invited to his table overwhelmed me. As I awoke that morning, the joy of that meeting was still bubbling inside of me. I poured my coffee and began to pray. Show me in your word, Lord. I grabbed my Bible and felt to open it to the parable of the rich man who made a dinner.
Then said he unto him, A certain man made a great supper and bade many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, Come, for all things are now ready. And they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee have me excused. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind. And the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. And the Lord said unto the servant, Go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper.
As I began to study the Old Testament, I learned how to celebrate all of his festivals. I learned to make Sabbath bread and matzah. I learned his calendar and his seasons. I came to understand and revel in his rhythms and symbolisms. With each new thing I learned, there was joy, and a still small voice saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. Just as the servants mentioned by Jesus in his parable, I too must invite you and compel you to come to his table. Passover 2024 will begin in the evening of April 22nd this year. Won't you please consider making a meal and inviting Jesus to your home? I know that he will show up. Subscribe and follow for more information on how to keep his festivals. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you.